the one flaw in our perfect master plan to get the blood because she can transform into the Hulk is that she will transform into the Hulk. Other guys come out and where were they before? They decided to just come out now after she's transformed. It's like, send out 2 guys on their own when you have these other guys who are armed with weapons and everything. Wait, they can wait. Stay at the back until after she transforms and becomes invulnerable. That's when you guys come out to try and fight her. Oh, we're dealing with got people and smart writing here. Welcome back to The Watch, and you might think I'm running solo, but I'm actually not. I'm joined by my wife, the lady.
Greetings, I've actually invaded from the Shadlands.
This isn't the first time the lady has joined us. She also joined us for the final Wheel of Time episode. So it's wonderful to back you. Wonderful to have you back, honey.
Thanks.
So things are tight. We've got Rings of Power coming out tomorrow, which would actually take the regular She-Hulk spot. So we need a pump to get She-Hulk out, and everyone else is gone away because it's after hours. So the lady has joined us, and we're going to be reviewing it myself and my wife. And okay, She-Hulk episode 3. Boring, unfunny, stupid, and largely pointless. What was your impression, my dear?
Well, I was kind of glad they at least added some courtroom scenes because it had kind of been lacking for a so-called lawyer show.
Oh, but I've got comments on that courtroom scene because they were right. They don't know how to write courtroom drama at all. Like, one character witness testimony is apparently enough for an entire case to be ruled on. So we'll try and avoid major spoilers, but there's not much to spoil because nothing really happens in this episode. Like the most vague progress of what was established in the previous episode, but it's so pointless. And their attempts at humor are awful. We didn't laugh once.
No, I don't think we did.
And when I say awful, I've got examples, like in the specifics. This show, when I say pointless, it really is. We've got examples, but again, that goes into spoilers, and there's so little and interesting things to comment on. Like, okay, yeah, I give it maybe 2 out of 10. What's your review?
I haven't even considered a rating because it was just blah.
What's your over-impression of the show so far?
I feel like they're portraying how they see the world, whoever's writing it. And so the men in general are horrible, the women are conceited and should be ruling the world, and there's not much superheroing in a superhero show.
My thoughts exactly. Can you see why I married this wonderful lady?
Thank you.
Not because we always agree, but she's a good one. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, man, that there's a character in here that they just, trying to make look like the most conceited idiot, and it really gives the vibes that that's how they see a lot of men. And so all right, that's really what we could say about non-spoilers. Nothing, like significant blows away, but a lot of specific things that were just really dumb, really cringe. We'll go into the specifics starting at the beginning of the episode. They do a bit of a recap, and so I'll bring up the show here. So it begins pretty quickly after the last episode drops off, and Jennifer Walters is walking to the prison, and we've seen the prison before, but I really had to take another just pause and just like, that's a prison? Looks like some art, what was that word again?
An art gallery.
Art gallery. It looks like some, modern art gallery. This is supposed to be a prison? Anyway, awful design.
Because usually when you see modern prisons, they're very blocky so that there's nowhere for an escapee to be, hiding. But here there seems to be plenty of options that if they just get outside the building, they can hide almost anywhere.
It's ridiculous. Like, you'd think prisons would have a level of practicality to it, and this is just some art student's, architectural project. The next thing I really noticed, and it comes out even more in this episode, so I forget his first name, but it's Blonsky, his last name, is the Abomination. Emil Blonsky. It's a completely different character. I can barely recognize anything similar from his previous character, so yeah, consistent writing or a characterization. And now he's like a clown, a goof, where he's like, yeah, I'm reformed. I'm so indubitably reformed. I've got my, harem of my soulmates. And like, is this their attempt at humor by trying to make this guy just be non-serious, play off like an attempted joke? Oh,
prior to this episode and us finally putting on the subtitles, I actually kept thinking that they were saying cellmates, and I was getting very confused. And then all of a sudden all these women show up, I'm like, oh, soulmates.
And is it a misdirect or something? Because the way he's acting, it seems incredibly put on. Like they're purposely trying to make this character look like he's lying through his teeth. Like, oh yeah, I'm reformed. I even write poetry or whatever. What was it? Do you remember what he was writing last time? Like some type of poetry things. He sent one to the Hulk, and Hulk was like, "Oh, send me them."
His apology letters to all his previous victims.
Yeah, something like that. But it's played off like so put on and so poorly acted. And this guy's a good actor, so this must be direction asking him to give this type of delivery, right? But then they have all these there's character witnesses they bring in later on where everyone is like, oh, he's reformed, he's changed my life and everything. The one guy is in tears. And so a character who's in tears would only be moved to that level if the advice that Blonsky actually gave him was genuine, which makes you think, like, he's actually doing legitimately good things, yet why are they making it sound like his, change of heart is so fake and put on because the acting's so bad?
Could be leading to further storyline, or they could just say, he's reformed, he's gone, see you later.
See, I actually think that this is the end of Abomination's arc in the show. It was a cameo, just to try and, get people's attention, and they'll do nothing with it, which shows really just misdirected, incompetent writing, where the obvious thing, if you're watching this, is like he's putting it on, he's faking it, then he's going to get free and do something nefarious or anything because of how bad and fake the delivery was. But now I'm actually thinking it's intentional and they're trying to make it humorous and that his reformation or whatever is genuine, which just makes all the lines delivered from him complete cringe.
And I guess we're expecting a superhero show, so we kind of expect it's going to be fake, she's going to have to go after him, but she kind of doesn't actually want to go after anybody or be a hero, so you've kind of got the conflict of, in a natural storyline of a superhero show, he would be faking it, he would get loose, do something horrible, she would have to chuck him down.
Exactly. So there is a fourth wall break here, which...
Oh my goodness, I hated it.
Yeah, what did you hate about it?
Okay, my worst problem is she takes her hands off the wheel, looks away from the road, and they don't pause the scenery as if it's happening out of world and stuff. But the car is still driving.
Yes.
Traffic around her, and she's looking at the screen, no hands on the wheel. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my goodness, that is so dangerous. And that's all I could think. I didn't actually pay attention to much of what she said, just that it didn't take her out of world, but kept things still going, and somehow the car kept magically driving. You're
absolutely right, Han, because it makes you really wonder, what are they wanting to do with these fourth wall breaks? Are they supposed to be meta outside of the universe thing? The car's still driving though, and so it's making it jarring. You're absolutely right. There was something off in it. I think I was distracted by the line that she was saying. It's like, oh, Wong is coming in. You think this is going to be like a cameo appearance show. It's really not. But then she was, apart from Banner and apart from someone else and everything. And it's like, pointing it out doesn't fix the issue.
Oh, and the line that followed it. Just remember whose show this is.
And it's supposed to be like funny, snarkiness, but it just comes off as self-centered conceit. It's like you're already coming off incredibly selfish, and this just makes it like double down or worse.
It's mine. This is my show. I'm not sharing that. They're just in here because they made me.
And what's terrible about this, it means they're aware that the only appeal that they're trying to get out of this show is by bringing in other characters from more popular, interesting properties. And they're not changed. They know of the problem. They know that it's like they're acknowledging, this uninteresting character, boring show. We're just riding on the cameos. And then they try and point it out like that fixes anything. It just means you're aware of it and that you aren't changing anything to solve the problem. Then it goes to some news, social media stuff. All right.
So before it gets to that, they introduce it by saying people are questioning of qualifications. Now at this stage, they haven't clarified whether it's her qualifications as a lawyer, where she's already established as having been the assistant DA, or her qualifications as a superhero, which she's barely done anything of.
This is the thing, though. The context of the show has literally established she was hired for being She-Hulk, and it wasn't her qualifications. And then they're bringing up, people it's so unfair that they're questioning, she wasn't hired on merit, she was just hired for being a She-Hulk. When the show literally shows that she was hired for being a She-Hulk! But they try to pose it like people raising these questions are such sexist bigots because, clearly they're not by the context of what you've shown. And this is what gets me about these other social media things, right? They think they're, owning the critics and everything by throwing in some of the actual criticisms that get thrown around with the modern day of superheroes and stuff, when they are oblivious to the context entirely and strawmanning some of these criticisms, especially for the in-universe thing, because now they're trying to say these criticisms exist in-universe with the She-Hulk, when these criticisms wouldn't exist at all in-universe.
Also, in-universe, there aren't many superheroes that they know the alter ego for, right?
Yes.
And so any others that were known for their actual secret identity, of course, any job that they would have would be milking that no matter what their gender was. They would be like, Ant-Man belongs to us, he can do this,
Yeah, absolutely.
It wouldn't be an issue.
and so it feels like they're trying to be like, oh, we're so edgy, we're owning the critics, we've seen what you've said and we're just trying and meme on it, when it actually feels like really bad cope, when you can't even understand the context of the criticism and you just try it's not bothering me. Look at us. All right, this guy. They took the Hulk's manhood away, but then they gave it to a woman? It's in universe. What? Even an idiot wouldn't be out of it because it's so out of what are they talking about? Because if you saw a She-Hulk come about, what context would you have to think that this is the Avengers just trying to replace the Hulk with a diversity hire, and they should try and say people criticize it's just like a diversity hire or something like that, when the context of that universe wouldn't even be like that. More superheroes, good. We want, in this universe with Thanos and other threats, more superheroes the better.
Oh, good, she's on our side.
But they're literally trying to it makes the show is already so artificial, fake, put on, and they force so much, and this is just another sign of it. We got to have affirmative action with superheroes. I bet there were superheroes now, ? And are you serious? There are heaps of female superheroes already in the Marvel universe, pre-established. What has changed in the MCU to make someone question that, right? Have this comment when Black Widow's been around, Scarlet Witch has been around, she's gone off the rails and stuff. It's just such cringe where they're trying to force criticisms that exist in the real world into a show like this. And it's also out of context because She-Hulk, even canonically, was never a diversity hire replacement for Hulk. It was made as a complement to Hulk.
Absolutely, and there's nowhere in here that even shows where they would consider Hulk demanned or taking his manhood away. He's still a really buff, huge fella.
He's still around, isn't he? Who thinks he's being replaced in this universe? No more female superheroes, please.
In world, they'd be give us more superheroes, people that are on our side that protect us from these crazies.
This is the issue. Even people who hate, the woke movement and stuff like that don't have an issue with female superheroes. This again just shows how stupid they are, that they don't understand the criticisms. No one has a problem with female superheroes. We have a problem with terribly written female superheroes, and there seems to be a flippin' trend, She-Hulk, and then go in line with Ray and so many others, where because there's this massive agenda that you can't show weaknesses in female characters, that they're making these horribly written Mary Sues, that's the issue. I would have no problem with all female characters if they're just really written. I love Alita Battle Angel because she's a great female character. Again, they try and ignore the valid criticisms because it cuts too deep, and then they try and strawman and just say, oh, you just hate women, and people saying no female. Who the hell has an issue with actual well-written female heroes? Come off it. Why are you turning every superhero into a girl? No, I bet it's no one asked for that. Now, there is an issue when you get rid of a legacy popular character like Iron Man and say replace him with Ironheart, people have a bit of an issue there because Iron Man was a great hero, great character, and you replace him with a really poorly written one. But there are other examples when a character has gone into retirement and a new character is replaced, and if it's good, people have had no issue with it. I see far less criticisms for Miles Morales, and it's not because he's a guy, it's because Miles Morales, depending on the execution, can be written really well. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. And so this idea, right, again, it's strong, and
thus my avatar here, Spider-Gwen, a well-written superhero.
Female, no one complained about Spider-Gwen!
Superhero, female, and great.
See, it's just like, they're trying to straw man the real criticisms and have these pathetically, simplified ones that are trying to, why everyone got to be female now? Who's saying this crap, really? Wow, someone find a reason to cancel hashtag She-Hulk. We so have to a hashtag Me Too movement, and now all the male superheroes are gone. It's like, Marvel literally said that they want more than 50% superheroes. Like, they're actually trying to get rid of a lot of the male characters. And my question is, why? What was this guy saying? I have no problem with female heroes, just saying make your own. That's the thing. She-Hulk literally was that. They made a new version that didn't get, did Hulk cease to exist when She-Hulk came about? No.
She didn't replace him, she added to the
Yes,
storyline. They had crossovers, she had her own storylines. She was great.
Exactly. Now, there are cases where it seems to be like a legacy, well-written character is replaced with some type of more representational version. And this is the thing, if it's actually well-written, people still have barely any issue with it. We want well-written characters. But when you replace a great character and replace it with this poorly written one,
or very non-likable one.
Like current She-Hulk, this version of She-Hulk. Oh, that's so... It's so funny that they think that, your criticisms don't bother us. The fact that they felt so, I don't know, it feels like desperation that they would inject this stuff into the show is a sign of how much it does bother them. And then they misrepresent it as well, because they can't even approach the criticisms honestly. On screen now is the one thing that was, it's this. It's a comment section. I like the idea of her. I just wish she would use her platform to stand up for the endangered lemurs. It's like she doesn't even care. It's like,
okay, yeah, that one got me a bit of a chuckle.
I'll give you that one. I don't think it was written by the primary writers, though. It's probably an editor who put that in, because that's actually always an anti-woke kind of insert, because that's what the woke crowd says. Is like, oh, why aren't you standing up for this or that, and stuff. And it's like a meme on that idea. We first see her in her She-Hulk form. She walks into the office, and it look like the CGI is just as bad as ever. It's really, really awful. She gets called into the office, and there is her former colleague who has a case that needs the superhuman division, and he's a meme, not even a meme, it's
the quintessential vision of what they consider a man to be.
I almost, but the thing is, it's so ridiculously over the top.
It's like they picked the worst of everything they hate about men and shoved it in this one character with no mercy.
It really does give vibes, though. This is how they see lots of men in the world. I've never, not even once, if I could try and picture what the most misogynistic man I've ever even come across on the internet, let alone in real life, well, the internet, Freudian slip then, because people are in real life. So anyway, even on the internet, right? Never come across anyone this so stupidly misogynistic to a ridiculous extent.
Absolutely, and he has zero redeeming characteristics. Zero. Nothing that you could be considered worth anybody's time of day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of how they seem to be viewing the world. Or this is how men treat us and what they are like.
And so this whole scene is obviously just to try and make a joke of this guy. And it's like, it turns out he was dating an Asgardian elf who could shapeshift, and she was in the appearance of someone really famous, and he thought he was dating that person. And then they're trying to make a joke of how stupid he is for not realizing that it wasn't really her. And when you're literally seeing a person that is not only looking like this famous person, is an exact duplicate, what, you're actually going to criticize someone for being fooled by a perfect replica of someone famous?
And it's not even established in the law, for the most part, that there are even shapeshifters.
Yes.
Like, the closest you get is Loki.
Yes.
And he's dead. And so, why is he initially going to think, oh, this can't be real?
Well, the reasoning...
So, they go into why he does it, why like he believes it's real. But in the world in general, like, people are like flabbergasted that he would believe it when there's been no precedent set that there are shapeshifters that can do this.
And the reason why Jen Walters, like, teases him for not realizing, and she says, you really think so-and-so drives this type of car? It's like, hang on, have you never come across any odd thing that a celebrity does or owns or anything like that you wouldn't have expected? But she thinks, like, oh, you thought she drove that? I can't believe. And the other, like, thing that they're just laughing at is they think it's utterly absurd that a guy like this would ever be able to date this famous person. One, never heard of her before. She seems like an actual real-world celebrity. Someone the horse. Like, we might need to just double-check. If this is a real celebrity, I feel so blessed that I've never heard of this person. Megan the Stallion. I said someone the horse. Stallion, horse. It's close to say.
Oh, it's an American rapper, apparently.
That's what I thought. This one actually... I was getting... especially this, I think, is a real person. And the show seems like it got a win because this person actually appears as a cameo in the show. Where it's like, I have never heard of this person before. It's like, not prominent enough for me to ever have even heard of this person. And then they're like making a joke of this guy saying, can't believe you fell for it. And it's like, if you had a picture of him standing next to her having date or a person that looks exactly like her, it's like, I've never heard of it, but hey, that, looking online, same person, I believe it. I guess I'm just a stupid man. Do you see what this show is doing? Where it's trying to make fun of things, yet it doesn't execute it in any measure. Like, the joke that they're trying to make is how dumb this guy is, when it's actually not unreasonable that he fell for it.
And, like, within seconds, I must say, of this scene, and them trying to introduce the situation, they call in the different lawyers that they want to be involved. And so, Jennifer Walters comes in, and they've got the male lawyer whose name I've forgotten. And then they have this other female lawyer walks in, and he's like, nope, I refuse to discuss personal matters in front of a 10. She could be my future fiancé.
Who speaks like that? Like, in real, and if these writers who are making this show have actually have interacted with people who act like that, you are living in one of the most insular bubbles with incredibly dumb people. Guess what? The real world, outside of this Hollywood, whatever world you exist in, this, I don't know, middle-aged Tinder dating thing, most people, when I say most, I mean like a vast majority, do not act even close to what they're trying to depict this guy as.
And, like, he'll say it in front of people's faces. Like, most movies, if they're going to try to portray somebody like this, he'll do it in private with a bunch of man buddies, not in front of the woman he's potentially interested in. Yeah. And so he makes himself a complete jerk in front of everybody.
How did he get to the position he's in if he's this stupid? Like, literally, this episode establishes this guy as utterly brain dead. Okay. If
it boosts his morale and pride, then he'll believe it. Like, what sort of lawyer would that make?
And then they're trying to say that he got into a paying position as a lawyer when he's so stupid, but also incompetent and unlikable. One of the things that does help promotion is actually being liked. So they've been trying to get a hold of Wong, and this episode makes Wong out to be a complete moron as well. They can't. No one can be depicted as somewhat partially passing intelligence, except the main character and a girlfriend, basically.
So Wong feels like in all the shows that he's come back and forth through, that he started off very serious, could barely get a word out of him, would occasionally do something a bit quirky, like listening to, I don't know, Britney Spears or whatever.
I think it was Beyonce.
Beyonce, maybe. Anyway, one of them, probably Beyonce, because he was asked about his name being just Wong. And so you kind of get little quirks, and then the further it goes along, he's just becoming more and more ridiculous, not serious and well-trained and, warning a noob about the dangers of magic. Now he's suddenly going, no, we won't use magic. No.
We won't use magic.
That's it.
It's like, what if we send them to the mirror dimension? And it's like, when I heard that, so Wong appears, right? And it's like, oh, you've been getting my message. And so they jump forward and she sits down. And he says, yeah, I did extract him from... So this is from a scene out of Shang-Chi where randomly you see Wong fighting the Abomination. And that's it. No context is given. And they're trying to give context now that he wanted to fight the Abomination to further his training to become the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, Wong isn't supposed to be a moron. He knows the concept of law and rules, and breaking out a guy in prison, probably not the best thing. And now they're trying to say that it was just for the laughs. It's like, Wong, there's a lot of other superpowered people you might be able to have a tussle with. Ask the Hulk, I'm sure he was willing to give you a bit of
And we've just had a lot of movies where there's been, like Scarlet Witch and a whole lot of others that he could have been a lot more involved in defeating rather than breaking somebody out of prison. He could actually have been fighting the baddies in these other movies.
Yeah, but now it's just he was off fighting whatever people, breaking people out of prison. And Wong should have, so Wong has no respect for the laws of imprisonment because he likes to have a play fight with someone. They're ruining this character and they're making out to be an utter moron because, again, when they say what they should do with the Abomination...
And he's like, oh, I'm not going to wipe memory again. That's too messy.
He's like, that doesn't at all address the issues of how universe breaking the spell was in No Way Home, and just how dumb that spell was to begin with. It's like these, references are not improving the show.
That's not what I was thinking. That is highly unethical.
And it seems to also, they're denigrating these other characters all for the purpose to try and make Jen Walters smart and everything. So they've made Wong act like an idiot so she can say, no, that would be highly unethical. I'm so smart and intelligent. Everyone is again, ruining a character on the altar of this new character that they want to prop up and look artificially intelligent. So he says, we'll send him to the mirror dimension or the shadow dimension. It's like, hang on. What context would make Wong think that they need to get rid of Abomination? He's in prison. He's safe. He's not supposedly a threat. She's just trying to explain, why did you break him out of prison? And Wong's response is, we need to deal with the Abomination. As a result, no, we don't. He's still in prison. We haven't reached that.
We're actually trying to get him on parole.
To be released?
Yeah. And so his solution of him not being able to get out of prison is to imprison him somewhere else.
It's utterly retarded. Where's the sense? Like, when we say this is dumb, pointless crap, this is what the show is built on. This is the connective tissue between every concept and plot point. And it's all nonsensical stupidity. All right, so now we have the scene of this guy explaining about, oh, he's so dumb. He spent so much money on this girl that was tagging him along. So this guy legitimately has been victimized by someone taking advantage of him, but it's funny because he deserves it, basically. And there's another part of it. So he walks away. The lawyer watches a YouTube video where he sees the elf. Then he walks back in. He says, I got to change of heart. I'm going to drop the case. And so, it's the elf. They just showed the elf taking out, it's a shapeshifter, appearing as other people. He walks in, instant change. And I would think that it's so obvious it was intentional, yet the show and scene plays out literally as a big reveal. That the guy gets a phone call from the actual client, the douche, everyone's making fun of, and then he's like, call security, and they play it like, oh, that's when you will have figured out. When we reveal it to you, it's like, it was painfully obvious from the beginning. So painfully obvious, it seems like it was intentional, but no, it seems like you're just incompetent and don't know how to give a good reveal and can't hide a twist. Okay, so the shapeshifter leaves and says, I love harassing women in the workplace. It's my kick, baby. Like, oh, look at me. I'm making this other guy look like a bad guy. It's not funny. And the guy's like, I don't do that. You know me. It's like, is this the quality of humor? Well, it is. This is the quality of humor in this show.
Their version of humor is just to denigrate men as far as possible and make them all complete idiots, and that's about it.
She-Hulk, the show, people. Jen Walters arrives in the prison, and there's reporters saying, were you rejected by the Avengers? And one reporter hears that. There are rumors that she was rejected by the Avengers. Like, is that the joke and punchline? That one other reporter heard it and then reports a rumor? And no, it's not funny. It's like, okay, she arrives, It's like, these are his soulmates. I actually thought they were like going to be I don't know, criminals in the thing, and they were setting up something. But it's like some hippie thing.
Hippie commune something? I don't know.
It's not funny. Is it supposed to be funny that he has a hippie,
hippie cult following him? I don't know.
This just makes it confusing. And so...
But at least it's, girls looking kind of dumb instead of guys for, a split 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, this is weird because... So Wong is late, and Jen Walters, she's so clever because she has to stall, but her stalling is just like, we'll get him to say why he's reformed. And the reasons he gives just comes off like it's utterly put on, yet it seems like this is supposed to be genuine. And then, like, I'll start by saying I feel great remorse. It comes off, like I said, terribly. This guy's a great actor as well. Anyway, and then they switched to showing all these people that it supposedly helped, and that's when I was like, oh, I think they genuinely are trying to portray that he is properly reformed, and that it's just terribly directed and poorly acted. Like this guy.
But that also makes it hard to believe, because there's good actors in this, and so you're expecting, surely they're not acting this poorly, because they can act. We know this.
It's from direction. The director is probably saying, act casual, put it on. This will be funny. It'll be great. But like, there's this security guard guy who's crying. He's like, "You really helped me out with my marriage and stuff." And like, is the joke that this guy is being so helpful, but he actually is showing signs of reform?
I'm not quite sure what the joke is there.
It's funny because the guy's over the top. He helped my marriage. Is like, just let it out. Then it cuts to the trial scene.
So we have kind of 2 courtroom scenes or legal scenes that try to be legal scenes. They're in kind of legal-ish settings.
So did you hear the quote from the writer saying, "We found out pretty quickly that we have no talent to write courtroom dramas." And it's like,
we believe you.
We believe you. Because this courtroom is like, basically, some of the rhetoric is just really bad. It's like, they try to say, "I've got diplomatic immunity because she's the daughter of a diplomat." And it's like, that only applies to things in Asgard. You committed crimes here, you're on trial. And she's like, boo-hoo. And then defrauded by a scam artist. And they try and... So the argument is just stupid. It's like, no, he knew that... so this is the argument in the trial. The douche guy knew that she was... a shapeshifter from the beginning, they were just role-playing. And the defense's argument is, this guy is so stupid that he genuinely would believe it.
Initially, they're just like, he believed it. Why wouldn't he believe it? And then the others are like, oh, no. It was just, a love match gone wrong, and, he's taking it out on her.
This show is so dumb. It's not an unreasonable thing to think you're dating the person that looks in every single way like the person you've seen online. But it's like, this guy's such a moron. Like, who could believe he could be such a moron? I don't know. We'll get a character witness to do it. This is the logic.
The girl makes a comment that he is delusional to the point of believing that he is, beyond a 10, and that of course he would get the most attractive woman around. And he's like, oh, let's go with that. He has spent more than 1 minute with him. He's probably figured most of this out already. Yeah. But it didn't quite click until a woman said it.
All right, so now Wong is there, and he says, I took him out of the cell against his will. He didn't want to, and then he insisted to be returned. It's like, Wong, why did you take him out then? Like, you really, you couldn't find anyone else to fight? And why did you fight in that seedy, fight club thing in some weird city? Why? None of it makes sense, all right? And then they say, Wong is like, you admitted to a crime, and he's like, bye. Like, it's supposed to be funny.
And it's not like he has 0 superpowered friends to ask for a favour in training. Like, he's got no resources or anything. And
so this scene, it's that they're like, what if he is a danger and he transforms? And so they're trying to establish that the panel legitimately think that the guy loses his mind every time he transforms. And so the Blonsky, his reasonable thing is to then demonstrate that he can transform and remain in control. That's not an unreasonable thing, and everyone freaks out. like is gonna attack. And I'm like, all right, is there no, I guess, reference or event ever of Blonsky going into abomination form and not losing it? Like, this is the first time they've ever seen him in abomination form, to the point where they think it's a guaranteed fact. If he's going to change, he's going to try and kill everyone, because they're reacting like, you know, he's about to go crazy. But the context, if you were just paying attention, he's doing it. He literally was like, yeah, I can show you to demonstrate that it was a demonstration. And you're in a prison, you have lots of guards and protection.
She-Hulk is already established as quite a mighty force to be reckoned with. He's saying it's okay, relax.
Yes.
There's the Sorcerer Supreme standing there going, it's okay, relax. And they're hiding under their desks, not paying attention to anything she had said, that he or she had said previously. And instead they're cowering like there's a T-Rex in the room. I
know, it's insane. And I thought Wong had left, but no, Wong is literally sitting right there still. So
he's also saying, don't worry, it's
exactly.
Okay.
You'd think you could trust him, but no, they're like freaking out. It's baffling. Again, so the people writing this don't understand characters and how people would normally react through context of the scene. Context is literally, you will go bad if you turn abomination. No, I won't. Let me demonstrate. And they don't consider the side, like maybe he actually can control it based on what he's saying, and that we have people for protection right in the room. Anyway.
I know, an initial fear reaction would probably be reasonable. He's a pretty scary big fellow.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe creeping up from behind the desk and going, okay, nothing's happening. You know, but instead they're cowering the entire time until he turns human again.
I know. Like, look at they're cowering behind the desks, and she's like, oh, okay. This show is nonsense. Anyway, so they all adjourn to discuss it, and this is where it's like, Wong, you committed a crime, and he's like, see ya. And it's like, Wong is a joke now. He's an idiot that doesn't understand the laws of other countries and things. Like, oh, well, there we go. She-Hulk leaves, and she runs into people trying to, protest her, or whatever.
Or protest him, maybe?
No, it was her specifically.
Was her
Someone sprayed on her car or something it was like a monster
defending a
monster. This world is so bigoted that, they're definitely not used to superheroes after several years and things. So she's trying to say, I want to get back to my own life now. And the assistant is like, G's out of bottle, obvious. All right. Part happens here. The guy comes in, is like, oh, this case I'm working on so bad. And then Jen Walters, she breaks the fourth wall and she's like, linking plot A and B. Nice. And it's like, that's really basic storytelling, like really basic, but the writers seem so impressed by it, they will literally make a fourth wall breaking comment, patting themselves on the back of how clever they are.
And it wasn't super smooth because they already knew that each other's cases, really. So it's not like it was a breakthrough that they worked together.
It's so dumb. This is not a thing to be praised at all because it's how basic and like they're so desperate to just inflate themselves, pat themselves on the back, tell them how so great they are. They have their insert, like Jen Walters really feels like a writer's insert and everyone praising her. So it's by proxy, the writer getting the validation.
Or if they're not praising her, they're bigoted.
Exactly.
Sexist.
Yes.
The only ones who don't think she's awesome are, of course, the worst people in the world.
You're absolutely right. It's like... It's almost like a character study or to reveal the personality of the writers, this show, because it's kind of blatant at times. So anyway, that's it. And then, he gets his incredible revelation here of how to solve his case. And that's just get Jen Walters to say this guy's an idiot.
She just needs to say how misogynistic and full of himself he is, that yes, of course he would believe that a star would think he was awesome and want to date him, and that he should, of course, spend all this money on this person. Of course, that is believable. And the judge is like, yep, I believe it, sold.
The case is won based on this. No cross-examination by the opposing counsel. No one trying to say, clear, obvious way to try and... the argument is dumb. It's like, he believed her because he's stupid. It was like, anyone could logically believe that. It's a shapeshifter. All right, so there's that. And then there's no logical argument given to dismiss it. Like, Jen Walters, you don't like this guy, do you? And it's like she said, I think it's pretty obvious, you wouldn't say any redeeming qualities, because this is what the defense could easily argue something to get, I guess, cast doubt on Jen Walker's testimony here, but no, the entire case is won.
Yes. Were you competing for similar roles in your previous job? Was it an amicable leaving of your previous job? Anything.
Yeah.
But no, it's just like, okay, we believe you, he's an idiot.
But this is the thing, right? This guy's a district attorney. He must have studied law.
Not the district attorney, he's in the district attorney's office.
Sorry.
So he works for the district attorney.
But he's clearly passed the bar and, everything like that. There is multiple points of evidence you could put forward to say this guy's actually smart, and it would be really dumb that he didn't realise this was who they was. At no point did he decide to check online, this person or anything like that. And remember, I did give a defence that if they look exactly like them, I think you could be fooled. But also, you could try and put an argument, which they don't do in the show or establish anything like that there's ways you might be able to check as well.
And you would think there'd be a storyline in there somewhere, like, he is so full of himself, he would have posted all over social media, and somebody would have been like, actually, she was here at this time, you're deluded.
Yeah.
Something like that perhaps would have happened, but nothing like that was brought up. It was like it was some hush-hush thing.
Yeah.
Even though he was completely full of himself and as she already said, that he would have boasted of any conquest or dating that he had done, and nobody thought to tell him, I think you're dreaming.
If they hear that and they know the celebrity is on the other side of the world and they just did this, press thing or performance, it's like, but that would actually raise legitimate questions if it looks exactly like the same person. You'd almost think she has a power of teleportation over someone impersonating her as a shapeshifter. But what this scene really is it feels like the writer's wet dream of being able to just get back at the man. Like this guy, he gets to be belittled in front of everyone, is an idiot. And that's the tone of this scene is like, isn't this cathartic that you see this guy get what he deserves, being called a moron in front of everyone? And
like that he won the case doesn't really matter. The point is that he got called out in front of a courtroom as an idiot and a horrible person that's got no redeeming qualities. Again,
this is like the writers fulfilling their own fantasy about saying, I wish I could say this to guys, and then they make Jen Walters say it. Because remember, here's the insert for most men in the world. That's what they're trying to say this guy represents. The impression I get. Suddenly the guy says something thoughtful and reflective. It's like, now he cares about people. I just wish there would be a power preventing device to prevent that person from victimizing anyone else. And Jen's like, oh, that's a really good idea. Like, no one's ever come up with that before. And the fact
and what's the silly thing there is that she doesn't bring it up in her court case. All of a sudden, these parole board suddenly says,
just say it.
The condition of your release is that you have an inhibitor that stops you from transforming again. And she didn't present it. Like, why is she suddenly
I know.
It's a great idea?
I'm not sure, the connection through line here, because it's like she got an idea, but then she's not the one presenting it to help her case. It's just there. It's like, so they don't even follow up on a plot point that they're trying to push forward. And the fact she's reacting like this should be an invention when the invention already exists. The context of the episode establishes that it exists by them saying he has to wear one. And we've already seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, when people are locked up in the raft, they have a thing around their neck. And
it was over and over again in the Doctor Strange multiverse thing. Like, people were getting those braces that stop them from using their powers.
But that was another universe. So
that's true. But they've established that the technology exists somewhere.
It exists in the universe. We saw it on the raft. I think it was in Civil War, where we see Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch, I think, is in the raft when she's in prison, and they have a thing on it. But anyway, there's no real follow-up with that plot point. Just back, weird cult people in love with him. He's given parole. That's it. So far this episode, it's been completely pointless, where it's like, the show's been, oh, you're representing this guy, I don't want to represent him, I'll represent him, need to get him off, I need to get a testament, now he's released. It's like, oh, this is riveting stuff, really, right?
Real courtroom drama here.
Gosh. So she gets out and she gets jumped. One of the, few interesting parts of it, but it's executed so terribly. So she gets out of her car, she's walking, and to begin with, I had no idea why she was getting jumped. The context is like, you think you're so good for showing off your powers? And she's like, I never showed off my powers. But they're kind of framing it like these guys just don't like superheroes for reasons. Then after the fight, we find out they're actually after something specific, her blood. and they show someone trying to stab it into it and it bends, and then they say, I didn't get it, she couldn't break her through her green skin in time. Just pause, think about that for a second.
That person that tried it, I'm pretty sure was the first one that grabbed her while she was still human. And then she's like, oh yeah, I can
That's exactly what I'm about to point out. Ready? Just wait for it. So she's walking down in an alleyway, someone's sneaking up behind her, and if the purpose of this, jumping is to get her blood. Right?
And so she's got the guys in front of her distracting her. She doesn't know there's somebody behind her.
Exactly. It's like, all right, you're pretty close to your goal, guys. Grabs her. Literally so job done. That's all the time he needed. Stab, got blood, job done. Then they literally hold it and do nothing for ages. Like, I got her. Come on, guys. I got her. It's like, why don't you have the stabby thing? And why wasn't the guy who has the stabby thing right next to you? And there's actually almost an exchange of words, and she's still not transforming. You had all this time to get the blood, and no one's doing it. This show is so stupid. I can't believe it. And then she's like, oh yeah, like it's supposed to be funny. When it's like, in reality, it would have been her instant reaction, but... She's
been going into work transformed every day, so she's quite used to this power. It's not like she's only done it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
She's transformed every day for work, for whatever she needs to, transformed back and forth to go into the prison. She's very familiar with this routine.
Yeah, but completely escapes her mind, and the guys are so stupid where they literally have her grabbed for a good few seconds, not transforming, and the guy with the stabby thing wasn't even there, where they don't take it. It's like, so dumb. And then the following fight scene is so poorly edited that you can't even see what's going on. She's just throwing a guy away and then cut and then cutting back, and she does something else. And it's just awful action. It's not riveting or engaging.
It's like glowy things flying around somewhere, and she's looking at them. She's like, what, do you rob a Asgardian construction crew? And they're like, yeah. And like, okay, that was funny.
Yeah, okay. It's like, they're not near Asgard, but it's a joke, guys.
Oh, wait.
Were they genuinely not expecting this? They're surprised in her transformation, and they're reacting like shock when the whole context that they set up after a blood, so they'd be aware of that she can transform, and they weren't thinking she would do this.
She gets attacked by a bunch of guys in the dark with glowy weapons that are attacking her, and she's not going to.
The one flaw in our perfect master plan to get the blood because she can transform into the Hulk is that she will transform into the Hulk. Other guys come out, and where were they before? They decided to just come out now after she's transformed. It's like, send out two guys on their own when you have these other guys who are armed with weapons and everything. Wait, they can wait. Stay at the back until after she transforms and becomes invulnerable. That's when you guys come out to try and fight her. Oh, we're dealing with got people and smart writing here.
So she throws them around. She, knocks them down, and they start running away with their Asgardian tools. She doesn't confiscate them. She doesn't stop them from running away, knock them out and call the police. She lets them run away with their tools, and she picks up her groceries.
And that's the episode. It's like, again, if you cut out the intro and end credits, this is like 20-minute show. 20-something minutes. Nothing happens. Nothing interesting by a long shot. Any vague attempt at action is so incompetently executed. And there is so much like inconsistent, blatant, stupid plot hole process of events. This show is awful. And wait, well, you got something to, get a cool, fun after credit scene, and it's She-Hulk twerking. Ready? That's it. That's what you wanted to see, isn't it?
And then she fangirls after this Megan Thee Stallion and goes, "I will kill for you."
And she's like, "Oh, hold up!" Is like, is that a joke? That's
is she super fangirling and serious, or is she just cracking a joke? This is just a little bit freaky right now.
It's such crap. This show is one of the most incompetently written, executed, and just shows. It's up there with some of the worst. It's really bad. And that's it. That's She-Hulk episode 3.
To give just a tiny bit of context, there's often shows that I enjoy that Shad can't stand, and he'll rip them apart.
My wife is not as much of a critic as me.
I'm really not. But I'm really struggling to find things that I come close to enjoying in this show. There are many shows that I think are great that Shad won't have a bar of, and that's fine. We have our own likes. But this show is a real struggle to get through.
And that is actually very scathing. More scathing than people realise. All right, there we go. She-Hulk episode 3. What do you guys think? Look, we're trying to stick through this one to the end. I hope to see you on the next videos because, hey, Rings of Power out next.
Aren't we looking forward to that one, guys?
Part of me is, of course, it's going to be both painful and hilarious. But, all right, guys, hope to see you there. And as always, stay on watch.